Hi, my name's Anthony Wood. I am the creator of the film Meister de Scheisse, which is a fictionalized origin story of an infamous current world leader.
What struck me, it's animated. I know you can do animation. I've seen your stuff in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a type of animation that I felt was very unique in the terms that you have cartoon heads,
Yeah.
but the eyes and maybe the nose and mouth were from actual actors, but they were blended in seamlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting technique I was playing with. I was working on a documentary with Pam Percy in Milwaukee about the history of chickens. And I started using this free software called Blender, which is basically known as a 3D software. But what I would do is I would take these chicken characters and bring them into Photoshop and just have their beaks open and closing in different layers.
Mm-hmm.
Then those files into After Effects, and I would just turn on and off the layers and keyframe them with the soundtrack to get beak sync. Basically, it was just open and close. So when I came up with this idea, I actually had this idea back in 2017 when my liberal outrage came then, but I thought I was thinking it like live on a green screen. I wasn't sure. And then when it came up again, the idea, I realized I could do it animated. But what I did was I played a character. My wife played a character, Mundy Carter, if you remember him, played the devil. And I basically just had each of us do all the mouth shapes, the phenomes, A, E, I, O, U, T, H, N, F, smiles, frowns, the same thing with the eyes, straight onto the camera, and then also 3/4. And then I built with all kinds of elements off the internet. I built the devil character. So I left holes for the eyes, I left holes for the mouth. Same thing with the husband character and the wife character. And then I would take those multi-layered Photoshop files and bring them in and put I did all the voices in this weird mock German. And then I sunk up all the lip sync. And I also did different layers for the arms. I put in different hands for different hand shapes. And
There's some live action in it too towards the end. There's actually your hands, right?
Yeah, the hands digging through the poo. That interaction was really hard to get, the squishy interaction. And I thought, well, if I put my hands and attach them to the cartoon arms and then my wife's hands as well, we basically just set up a big pile of mud on a piece of green board, and then I made the poo out of a combination of mud, Campbell's soup, all kinds of stuff, and then we just kind of dug through it. And yeah, so the poo itself is live action, and the digging through it is live action. Everything else is those characters. But once I got the characters animation and action done, I built all the environments in 3D. So the house, the room, outside are all 3D elements with these 2D characters brought in. And as long as they stay perpendicular to the camera, you don't see them from the side. They look like full characters.
Yeah, the characters had sort of, I remember in my childhood, paper dolls where the arms kind of go back and forth like that.
Exactly. But I was all the swooping camera moves and a lot of the effects, the whirlwind, tornado effects and things like that, papers flying around, that was all physics in the 3D program. And then I rendered the final thing out in 3D and then just, put it together that way.
How long did it take to make this film? I imagine because you're building a lot of 3D elements and Photoshop and everything.
Right. I usually do these as I call them my winter projects because I go nuts over the winter. I need something to do. And I think it was the fall I put everything together. That was not last year, but the year before. So then I worked through the following winter and into last year, into the spring, getting it all done. So it was animating from probably December through April or May to get it completed, to get everything actually completed. And there's a lot of redos and things that don't work and other things that I had to kind of work out. And then it's a matter of like collecting sound effects, recording a lot on my own, and piecemeal all that fun stuff at the end of editing and sound effects and music and things like that.
Yeah, I think it turned out well.
Yeah, thank you. I was really happy with it. The style of it has a certain primitive look, but it has a lot of nice anger behind it, and uh, it's it's foul and at the same time funny. And I actually got it into a film festival in Perth, Australia, and they did a review of it and said something about funny in its scatological humor kind of thing. But that's what I'm leading with. So there you go.
Well, I've known you a long time.
Mm.
You showed, I think, the Great Outdoors at our festival in Baden Krunk.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So that, and then you showed the Call. So you're coming back with a new film.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And the one I'm working on currently, I'd love to have, but next year, but it's a half hour long. It's my longest film yet. So, and that's the film where I actually built a green screen studio in our pole barn, and I got actors from American Players Theater wanted to be in the film. So it's a turn of the century black and white German serial killer comedy.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's coming out really great. I shouldn't be pushing that one right now, but it kind of came off the heels of Meister de Scheisse, and I actually used some of those animation techniques in a dream sequence within that film. So um, and the other thing about that particular the Meister de Scheisse and now this film is that my learning curve using a lot of this software like Blender just goes through the roof because I need to have a practical application to learn something. I can't just do a tutorial, pick up a book if I don't know what I want to do with it. And I've really, my knowledge and skills with, especially with Blender, is just like accelerated. It's such a fun program, and it's free. So it's not like I have that much invested, in it financially. It's just time.
yeah. How's this film doing on the festival circuit? Have you showed it in anywhere?
I've had it at the one in Perth, and I think it was a couple other, but you do that thing where it goes on to what is the Film Highway, the whatever the thing is,
Film
and
Freeway?
yeah, Film Freeway, and they send you all these notices, and I start to feel like, do they just want my money? I don't know if this is getting in anywhere. And after a point, I just thought, well, stick to the ones I know. And so even though it had been accepted to, I think, like 5, I never really heard anything. I don't really know whether it was shown or not. So and there weren't any of note. So I thought, well, um, I don't really hit the pavement that hard for the festival circuit because it's such a weird, you could get 10 notices a day in your emails from Film Freeway about various festivals that want to see your film. And all of a sudden you're $25 here and $30 here, 35 there of festivals I've never heard of. And at some point I was like, I wouldn't go to the festival. It was too far away. So I guess I can put the little garlands on my poster, which I suppose that's nice. But I think it's more fun to get it in locally, having local audiences and getting feedback and, being able to talk with other filmmakers at the festivals.
Do you want to talk about anything we might have missed before we?
The backstory on this is I actually made a book of the full storyboards of Meister de Scheisse, and I wanted to do it as a live, maybe green screen thing back in 2017. So I met with a bunch of friends in Milwaukee to say, hey, do you guys want to work on this film? But as happens, the script was done, the storyboards were done. I passed the book around, and all of a sudden everybody was rewriting it. Maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that. I was like, whoa, hold it. I have the idea. I just want to shoot it. And then I don't know, maybe I looked like a control freak or something. So I just put it on the shelf and I thought, well, at least I have the book. And it actually turned out to be more fun doing the animated thing because I could work on it when I chose to work on it, create the characters the way I want to make them look. So I guess I am a control freak that way.
Have any of the people you've shown the book to seen the film and realized your vision afterwards?
Yeah, a few have and said, "Oh, that's what you meant." So,
Oh, okay.
actually, a friend of ours that hosted this get together in Milwaukee, they moved away to Nashville, and she saw it, And she said, wasn't this the film you were pitching us like, 4 years ago? And I said, yes, but, or longer, but it just didn't have the wherewithal. And you know how it is when you're trying to coordinate people and
Mm.
locations. You know what that's like. You better than anybody know what that's like to try to put a movie with actors and shooters and stuff like that together. And I was going to try to do this. I'm an hour west of Madison. Try to do that in Milwaukee. Something had to give, and it just seemed to be a better idea to do animated. And then I could be larger with it. The characters could be really super out there. The devil could be crazy. The effects could be crazy. The architecture could be kind of weird and maybe not quite realistic. And so all of that appealed to me, and from a design standpoint too. So once the light bulb went on, I thought, that's the next project that'll get me through January and February. So yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this, Tony.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for putting in the festival. I can't wait.